Hello, everyone. This is the greatest travel podcast in the universe. Maybe. We also talk sports, culture, nonsense. Today leans on the nonsense and the culture because we are talking my political stance, only because I get a lot of flack and hatred and unfollows when one person hears my one side remark and don't know that I make and talk shit about both the right and the left equally. Whatever makes sense and doesn't make sense, I'm on the side that makes sense, and I'll make fun of the shit that makes zero sense. Like congratulating Pfizer. Pfizer, been in business, big pharma company, 175 years, made billions, has yet to cure a single disease. I will say, like Scotty Scheffler, if he was a black NFL player, how does this turn out? I'm not saying how it turns out. I just be honest with yourselves. Not only did Scotty Scheffler get all charges dropped, which, I mean, fair enough, the cop was being lame, don't care. If that's a black NFL player, does this happen? Not only that, does the cop also get reprimanded on top of this? Incredible. And then I'll get into the biggest thing, but one more topic. The world needs more hillbilly shows. The Tiger King, obviously a big hit. I also recently watched, what's it called? A documentary on Amazon Prime called Swamp Monsters. And it's watching a car crash. It's basically about rednecks in Florida, big trucks, mudding, follows a bit of a family, and the stuff that comes out of their mouths. It is wow. If you're one of those people that don't believe in racism, well, knock, knock, knock. Who's there? This show. You have to watch it. It's, like I said, it's a car crash. Back to my political stance, I would say the biggest thing, I have friends, multiple group chats, multiple best friends who are far left and far right. So I have to debate both sides to try and bring people together. The number one thing I will say that's the most ridiculous thing in politics, and I say this to my far right group friends and my left group friends, find someone who can beat the other. My Republican friends talk shit about Joe Biden, terrible this, terrible that. Well, it's your fault. You've got a guy convicted, right, wrong, and different, of 35 charges, bigot, potential sexist, whatever, all these things. If you believe or you don't, I don't care. Running against them. Just find a regular, sane person, and you can beat Joe Biden. On the opposite side, you're complaining about Trump this, Trump that, blah, blah, blah. Well, just beat him. Sure, you beat him this time. You should have beat him the first time. You have no one to blame but yourself for not doing a better job while in office to supplant yourself for the next presidential run. So Trump isn't even in the conversation. The fact Donald Trump is in the conversation to be president is ridiculous. And it's not all, it's liberals' fault. You should be blowing him out of the water. Have a non-senile person in office and you'll be fine. It's just insane. The biggest issue in politics is just the divide between the left and the right now, which is the biggest it's ever been. It's terrible. And it's the media's fault on top of that. If you watch CNN or Fox News, you're an idiot. And I'm sorry, I don't mean it, Republican friends, because I have a couple who do watch Fox News, but you are an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're very smart. Stop doing it. All it does is splinter us further and further apart. It is just putting the worst of one side against the other. And I hate it when people just send you a video. Look, this is why the right, blah, blah, blah. Look, this is why the left. Stop. There's idiots on both sides. There's poor people with poor judgment on either side. And you can grab chicken. What's the word I'm looking for? You can just pick stupid people on either side and say, this is why we need to do that. No, stupid. We need a middle party. There is one, but it's never going to happen because it's kind of like Rich Men in Richmond, the song by, what's his name, with the redhead with a beard. It's perfect. They don't care about us. They just care about themselves. It's until we as a people do something about it, it's never going to happen. They're going to stay in power, and that's it. But stop hating each other. Stop making this giant divide where it's just negativity and hatred. Um, there's no news in the USA. It's all just propaganda. Like I said, it's just pitting us against each other because that'll keep us apart, which means more money for them. Um, and I'll even say, like, the COVID heist. We're in the greatest, let's say, some stances I have. COVID, as we know, I'm anti-COVID. It was the dumbest thing ever. It minted multiple billionaires. Like, billionaires in the United States went up 10, I don't know, 10,000%. I don't know what, a giant percent. Billionaires were minted. And then the wealth gap turned even worse. So then there's more poor people and now there's more rich people. Not only that, it then put us into this place where we are now with inflation. Inflation's at its highest. And now we're sending billions to other countries while regular people can't afford groceries here. People are getting laid off left and right by Tesla and everywhere else and other companies. So now inflation's at its peak. Why aren't we taking care of our people here? I know we got to take care of the world. Stuff that's happening around the world is very sad. But so it's sad here. Like there's 33% of the population are food insecure. Maybe it's 27%. Actually, I think it's 27%. But that's still a giant percent. There's 7,500 deaths in the United States per day. Surely there's stuff we can do here to save lives. Poverty, suicides are at an all-time rate. It's just crazy. I know we have to help the world. We're rocking a hard place, but we also need to help here. Big pharma is ridiculous. Headlines, like I read a recent headline that said drugs are illegal again in Oregon. What a silly headline to read. I get that they tried their whole let's make drugs legal thing, but that was interesting. I had an ex-girlfriend who's off the reservation mentally. That's rude. Abortion. I also think Trump would win if Trump did two things. He apologized for the insurrection. Let me get to the insurrection first. Again, imagine the insurrection happened when Republicans were in office by a bunch of African American and Mexicans or Latin Americans, any of those minorities. Could you imagine if that happened? And the other thing I don't understand about Republicans is they're pro-democracy, pro this, but then they say all the votes are stolen, and then the insurrection happens. That means you don't believe in America and you don't believe in democracy. Because now we can just say, oh, the votes are stolen. Liberals can say it. Republicans can say it. Just turns into a ridiculous thing of us not believing in democracy where we can count ballots and we will not mess these things up or dirty the political, like we're basically a third world country that isn't democratic anymore. It's just a dictatorship of stealing votes and stealing presidential terms. That's not a direction we want to go. Back to abortion. I don't have anything to say about it because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I had a crazy ex. She had an interesting point about abortion. So she was adopted because her mother was unfortunately sexually abused, and she was created from that. I don't want to say the R word because it's just a heavy word. And she is anti-abortion because obviously that could have been her. And she is one of those people when they say, oh, well, how about women who are raped or sexually blah, 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 and a baby happens, they should be able to get an abortion. And her stance is there's thousands of people who can't have children. She's very religious. So she was a blessing. I've never met my biological father. I was raised by a single mom. She easily could have aborted me. We lived in not the greatest places at the start of my life. Not obviously crazy bad places, but It's not like money was falling out of a tree for her. So yeah, she was younger. She could have done it. So it's interesting. Obviously, hopefully I've helped 2 people in my life or 3 people and made the world a bit better of a place. I probably haven't. That's tooting my horn too much. Also, the word tooting your own horn. Who toots other people's horns? That's one of the dumbest sayings. There's a lot of dumb sayings, but I wouldn't want to know who are the people tooting other people's horns. I don't know. Are you tooting other people's horns? Don't answer that. So yeah, it's an interesting thought. That's what Republicans think, I guess, is that, or people who are pro-abortion or anti-abortion, is every life is a blessing. They're very religious, God, this, that, every baby is this. And then obviously the opposite side is you can see the reasoning for that as well. So this is about my political stance. Abortion, I don't have a stance because I'm not a woman. It is their body, their choice. But then obviously you can make the argument, well, COVID was my body, my choice, but I could get fired from multiple jobs if I didn't get a vaccine. And again, I will stick down the middle for this so I don't get hated on. But yeah. What else? I think that really just it. Always follow the money. COVID, follow the money. Also something ridiculous, but if I had rants about why there's a new supermoon all the time, like the PR team for supermoons and celestial events is incredible. And follow the money. I found out soon after I made that joke that's just ridiculous that the tourism and the money generated from these celestial events is in the millions and billions. So people travel to certain areas to see that last supermoon for the best view. They sell glasses, they sell shirts. The consumerism of these is why it is blown up in the media. Full circle. That's why every year there's a new supermoon, red moon that'll never happen again in 100 years. That happened 2 days ago. So there's celestial consumerism, hallmarkism is why it's all in the media. Obviously, it's beautiful. There are some northern lights that happened recently. That was something. So I get it. I just don't get it. Follow the money whenever something seems out of whack. As we've seen, Fauci is admitting that the 6-foot distance rule he made up, the mask with kids rule he made up. Republicans are saying he should go to jail. Google right now stuff, the Fauci trial. People are like, oh, COVID's over. No, we're penalizing these people who held us hostage for however long and then also turned into millionaires and billionaires from it. But anyways, I also make fun of Sedona people and West Coast liberal people that are just too far, like the illegal drugs thing or half the stuff that's going on in California, like legalized stealing is fine. You can't go to jail for under $1,000. So people are just breaking and entering into cars. Ridiculous. Gavin Newsom running for president is ridiculous. I will say, and like I said, I'll shit on Trump, awful human being, find someone better. He still could win because apparently liberals can't find anyone better. But Gavin Newsom and Bernie Sanders, they want to do all these things that have nowhere where they're going to find the money. Gavin Newsom can't even make his own state with less crime and less. It's a hellhole. You don't want him as president of the United States. Bernie Sanders was free education, free this, free that, but never actually had a way he was going to do it. So liberals shooting themselves in the foot because they've got either Sleepy Joe or they've got guys like Bernie Sanders and Gavin Newsom, like crazy far left, up next. Can't we just have someone closest to the middle on either side who isn't convicted of felonies or whatever he is, even if Republicans are calling it a kangaroo court? I have Republicans friends who are stout that these are all made up and Trump is a political prisoner. We could find that this is true, but I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. He's obviously had a lot of stuff come up. But either way, just don't lean too far one way or too far the other. Don't send memes and videos of just one weirdo far left or one weirdo far right doing something stupid, because that's not all of them. We need to come together as people. We need to stop hating the other side. We need to stop blaming anyone but ourselves that Trump is in the running or Biden's in the running, because you know what? You should be able to beat them hands down by just finding someone better. But it's all controlled over our heads. There's nothing we can control. I realized that, when Obama went in office, loved Obama as an orator. I tell friends from Canada, by the way, that they always say, "What's it like with Trump down there?" Blah, 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 when Trump was in office. I was like, my life hasn't changed from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden. Taxes are relative. I mean, everyone's like, oh, taxes. Taxes are 1 year you pay $4,000, 1 year you get $6,000, 1 year you get this, 1 year you get that. It's really, I don't know. My life hasn't changed. Now, I'm sure, obviously, the Obama had his Medicaid thing, which is great. I think that is necessary for poor people. Love that. Trump economy went up incredibly. Biden, I don't know what, I don't follow it enough to know. I can't think of anything amazing Biden's done aside from give away money left and right. But at least he's nice about it. Trump obviously shouldn't be the leader of a free world from his decorum, I would say. I understand some of his policies. I think some of them can be great. Equal to Biden, Bush, Obama, or better, maybe you can argue it, was decorum as the leader of the greatest country on earth, people say, or the most powerful country on earth. Could be a bit tighter, could be a bit better. So yeah, stop unfollowing me, stop leaving me hate mail because I make fun. Well, I was thinking about what I was talking about Sedona. People in Sedona are just go crazy about everything that you do, and I don't know where I was going with that. I think I started that and I went to a rant. In the end, everyone, just stop the Fox News, CNNs of the world. The news, my first degree is in journalism, and the first rule of journalism, if it bleeds, it leads. So all you're going to see is hospital ambulance chasing. Like AZ family. Think of that. AZ as in Arizona family. Sounds great, right? It is a trusted news source in Phoenix, in Arizona, one of the biggest news sources. It's called AC Family because, yeah, you want some AZ Family. Let's look at their top right now 5. I'm going to say, I always say the top 5 of 4 out of 5 of the top news stories on everything is some sort of shooting, something to scare you. This is what the media does. The media is just one-sided, whether one side or the other. And if it's not that, it's just scaring you. It's ridiculous. Here we go. First story, pilot killed after plane crash. Second story, memorial service held for fallen officer. Third story, man arrested for DUI and murder. Fourth story, another closure this weekend. Fifth story, fire. Sixth story, man dies being stabbed in Phoenix. So next story, pedestrian dies after being hit by car in Phoenix. It's all just gloom and doom. Death, things that scare you, consumerism, spend. Medical, big pharma and medical is ridiculous. People don't have medical insurance in Phoenix because they can't afford it. Yet one of my best friends is a pharmaceutical sales rep, medical sales rep. He sells medical equipment because of what we live in is like the American health system is ridiculous. He has a mansion on Camelback Mountain with gorgeous cars. I hate to call him out because that's multiple medical sales reps are millionaires off people's sicknesses. It's crazy and good for him. He's good investments, and other friends who do it, they have great houses and are doing incredibly well financially, work very, very hard. Not going to take that away from them whatsoever. But the fact there's millionaires for people selling pharmaceutical sales, medical sales, and then there's people who can't have medical insurance is just crazy. So that's where I stand politically. I'm probably left out some stuff. Stop being mean to the other sides. We need to come together. I don't know what's going to do that to make it happen. Maybe it's this podcast. Let's make this podcast go viral of stop being an asshole to liberals, stop being an asshole to Republicans. We both want the same things, but just the media, the presidential candidates, the people in the power have kept us so far apart, because that's how you stay in power, by keeping the opposite sides apart. What's it called? Get in the divide and destroy, divide and conquer. That's what the whole political system is meant to do. And we're falling into that trap, especially since COVID. It's just gotten worse and worse. Racism, everything. So this is InspiredTravelEat.com. I'm Fraser LeVay. This is the greatest travel podcast in the universe. But today we went a little political. So you just stop hating on me and just know that I just make fun of everything that's dumb. And people make fun of this podcast. Someone called it the shittiest podcast on earth. And maybe another person will after they hear this.